Our focus is on preserving legacies, empowering artisans, creating unique designs that solve problems, not competing with machine-made products.
According to me, no designer or no craftsman really needs to bother about the cheaper alternatives or machine-made pieces, because something which a machine can never do is what hands can do. That is the beauty of a handmade product.
We need to understand the resource distribution in India. India is not a wealthy country in that sense. Resource is not evenly distributed. So if the resources are not evenly distributed, the problem always is funding.
There has to be a balance between tech and वो craftsman skill handwork जो वो लेके then we have to find a balance between these two और उस हिसाब से हमें audience को cater करना है कि हमें largest audience में जाना है या smaller niche audience में जाना है.
Panel, I would only urge architects, designers, and builders and everyone involved in the procurement stages of projects to stop and reconsider sourcing materials that are made in India or are made in India.
Hello, everyone. So, after a power packed session on the previous panel discussion, we are back with our next panel discussion for the day, titled as Reviving Indian Craftsmanship Through Product Design. So, in the ever evolving landscape, where adaptation is the key to success of any design, exploring the relationship between traditional Indian craftsmanship and contemporary design becomes important. This theme focuses on how to revive age old practices while meeting modern market demands. Understanding the challenges faced by Indian craftsmanship, such as declining interest among younger generations and the need for ethical and sustainable practices to compete with cheaper machine made alternatives. The theme will also delve into the Indian design community's balance between traditional roots and contemporary demands, the role of interior design, and the impact of innovation and technology in this world. On this note, I hand over the stage to Hed Shah, the project head for Archioo, our e-commerce website, to further take the panel discussion ahead.
Thank you, Simran. Hello, everyone. I'm Haid. I'm the project head at the Archioo. Let me welcome the panelists for today. We have Romit Savla from Soch Design Studio. We
Hi
have
everyone.
Jenny Majmudar from BESO. We
Hello,
have
everyone.
Sankalpa, and we have Shashank from Mianzi. Uh, how are you, everyone? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon. Good
afternoon.
Hello,
afternoon. I'm
everyone. Good
good.
afternoon.
How is everybody?
Okay, thank you so much. So let me begin this session with a small brief about each of you. I'll begin with Sankalpa. So Sankalpa is practicing architect and academic. He's a co-founder of Thumbimpressions, a collaborative practice focused on environmentally conscious design and the craft of construction. He is also the founding member of the India Bamboo Forum and the lifetime member of the Bamboo Society of India. Sankalpa's interests lie in exploring how the body interacts with structural forces to experience architecture. His current research focuses on developing design details that merge industrial and natural materials, addressing the evolving aesthetics in response to the environmental crisis. Then we have Jenny Majmudar from BESO. Jenny, after graduating from the Savannah College of Art and Design in the US, she worked as a designer at Hirsch-Bedner Associates, Los Angeles. While she was able to explore the design in an international standard, she envisioned her design practice to be associated with the Indian craft sector. Thus, she returned to India with a global outlook, yet more in love with the traditional Indian craft practices. The BESO took shape in January 2021. The brand, through exquisitely hand-woven cane furniture, begin with the idea of understanding human interactions within the home and how various activities carried out in the space. We have Romit Savla from Soch Design Studio. Romit, born and based in Mumbai, he's the founder and principal architect, believes that the heart of any design is in the complex journey of its process and the beauty of its construction. He utilizes his extensive experience gained from executing various interior design projects and working with diverse product types over the years to create the design framework for Soch's product portfolio. Founded in 2017, the studio began exploring a new arena of design by integrating contemporary and vernacular languages together and experimenting with intelligent systems of detail. And lastly, we have Shashank Gautam from Mianzi. Shashank's connection to bamboo began during his graduation research. As a lead designer in various industrial design firms, he worked extensively with materials like plastic and metal. His deep understanding of this industrialized materials, combined with his experience with bamboo, inspired him to create everyday products that are both functional and eco-friendly. Shashank Gautam, armed with a bachelor's in architecture from SPA Delhi and a master's industrial design from IDC IIT Bombay, founded Mianzi with co-founder Ananta Varshney to transform the perception and use of bamboo. Together, they aim to introduce eco-friendly, inventive, and aesthetically designed bamboo-based furniture, lifestyle products, bicycles, and architectural solutions in the near future. So,
Thank you,
as
Hib, for such a
Simran,
nice introduction.
thank you. Moving on, as the theme is reviving Indian craftsmanship through product design, we'll start with the first segment of the session, which is craftsmanship in India. So, Indian craftsmanship passed down through generations for self sustenance and the cultural preservation. How do you think address the decline in interest among younger generations in continuing these familial trades? I would like Shashank to have your take on this.
Hi, Hib. So, I'm so glad to be here. And
Same here.
regarding कि कोई, there's no kind of uh, there's no interest in the younger generation कि craft को लेके कैसे आगे बढ़ना है and all. So this mostly because of the reason कि ज़्यादा R&D नहीं हो पाया है इस craft और natural product natural materials को लेकर. There has no kind of tech advancement in this, and also क्योंकि advancement नहीं हो पाया है अभी तक tech में और तो लोगों का ज़्यादा interest नहीं develop हुआ है I believe. Then you know and there is a lot of gap to bridge contemporary design with these kind of craft and natural material. And to address this, we try to incorporate, industrial materials with the natural industrial material with with craft and natural materials and all. तो क्या होगा कि लोगों का ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा acceptance बढ़ेगा materials को products को ये करने में accept करने में. So that's all I can talk about that.
Yeah, quite going into the right direction. And I'll have Sankalpa to have your take on this. Could you please tell us what is your take on this?
Yeah, see, the thing is, it is natural for any kind of labor intensive industry and people associated with labor industry to slowly shift, because the nature of the labor in the way in which it was practiced is quite a drudgery. Unlike, for example, the shifts and the changes that has happened. So, for example, as an architect or as a designer, it becomes very easy to shift from hand to AutoCAD to other AI tools and other scripting tools. Similarly, it's natural one to sort of shift in all other professions, but also now it is not necessary that that somebody is bound to further their family traditions, which are not very aspirational and which the society doesn't respect enough. But you will also find now that there are new kinds of people who get interested. In fact, Shashank would be one of the kind of people who may not come from a conventional background, but has studied in SPA and in IIT and is deeply interested in this kind of question. So there are new kinds of people who are entering into the profession, And in the way in which the old was there, it is depleting or it is shifting. And I think it's all right to accept this change and wait for another 200 years to have completely new and diverse set of people to come into profession. So I really don't see a problem. In fact, I see a very positive change, that it is not necessary that in all the professions your offspring needs to follow what you were doing. But obviously there are advantages when you follow that, uh, which is natural. But then we'll have to do a research to find out, um, what if they are following, what is the kind of profile and what is the kind of financial setup and circumstance within which those people are following, and what is the circumstance within which new people are entering into the profession. So that's how I'll put it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sankalpa. Thank you for explaining what your belief on the same. May I please have Jenny to give us your take on this?
Um, I believe the main issue at hand is that the fast fashion and mass consumerism, whether it be in apparel or product design, are always in flux. And a lot of brands cater to this ever changing demand, while artisans and the communities are often located in rural areas that largely remain disconnected from these urban trend driven markets. This creates a dichotomous relationship between the mass produced goods and the rich artisanal crafts. I believe social media has a tremendous potential to bridge this gap. If leveraged effectively, it could serve as a powerful tool to promote these communities, allowing them to prosper.
True. I agree. Digital media is the future. That's what we also believe in. Digital media is there. That's the future. Yes. Romit, can you please give us your take on the same?
Yeah, hi everybody. So, what I feel is that the problem is very basic with craftsmanship in India, especially where a karigar is always considered a laborer. They are getting their wages, daily wages. It is a matter of, I would say, societal stature more than earning money. A skilled carpenter doesn't earn less. Like, for example, any normal carpenter earns near about 36 to 40K a month, which newly graduate is struggling to even get there in 2 3 years. So better, maybe better portrayal skills, like Jenny said, that social media will definitely help them to get recognized. A better portrayal of these skills will, with young generations, will get them to learn these skills and be called as a karigar, and then pursue the ancestral skills.
Thank you, Romit. Thank you for such an insightful answer. The next question would be, based on the experience working with the craftspeople, how do you view the adaptation of artisans to modern skills and the incorporation of technology into their existing practice? So, can we have Jenny to give your take on this?
I think it's a widespread misconception that artisans are resistant to or underprepared to embrace these modern techniques and technologies. In reality, these craftsmen take great pride in their heritage and the craft and the art that they practice, um, and they are ready to pass it down through to the next generation. What hinders their process isn't an unwillingness to adapt, but rather the lack of capital and resources. If empowered with the right tools, training, and financial support, they do not only welcome modernization but also integrate these practices seamlessly into their own practice that they've been practicing for a very long time. I've seen this firsthand with my team and in many other instances. With the right guidance and opportunities, artisans can combine their traditional skills with these modern machineries to elevate their crafts without losing the cultural identity.
That's true. Very true. I agree. I agree to whatever you said, Jenny. Sankalpa, can you please give us your take on the same?
No, I think I completely agree with what she said, and I mean it's very natural for any human being. We cannot separate karigars from anybody else. With the advancement of technology, each of us adapt, and we need a financial resource for that. So whatever point Jenny made, I think that it's very apt and there is no disagreement or even addition to what she said.
Thank you, Sankalpa. Shashank, can we have your take on the same?
Yeah, so what I realized कि when people used to purchase craft items or craft based products, तो उसमें मैंने लोगों को देखा है कि they used to cherry pick the products और वो ट्राई करते हैं कि कौन सा ज्यादा अच्छा दिख रहा है या कौन सा जिसमें डिफॉर्मेशन कम है, उस तरह से वो प्रोडक्ट पिक करते हैं। ठीक है, तो दैट काइंड ऑफ प्रॉब्लम आई रियलाइज्ड, और वी ट्राई टू केम अप विद सॉल्यूशंस कि कैसे हम लोग इस प्रॉब्लम को कैसे। एंड ऑल्सो देयर वाज अ मेजर प्रॉब्लम कि एक प्रोडक्ट को बनाने के लिए ना, एक क्राफ्ट प्रोडक्ट को बनाने के लिए मतलब दे हैड टू स्पेंड लाइक अ डे और टू, और बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट्स में तो कुछ कुछ एक हफ्ता बिता देते हैं प्रोडक्ट बनाने में। So these two major problems, what we really observed initially. So I then we started started working on the background कि engineering में हम ऐसे क्या करें कि इनके लिए काफी आसान हो जाए। एक तो कि प्रोडक्ट बिल्कुल सेम दिखे, और दूसरी चीज प्रोडक्ट बनाने की कैपेसिटी उनकी बढ़ जाए, तो कि वो ज्यादा प्रोडक्ट बनाएंगे तो वो ज्यादा कमा पाएंगे। तो हमने जिस तरह का टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप किया है उसमें अब जितना पहले लोग बना रहे थे उससे 500% अब लोग बना पा रहे हैं। तो उसके वजह से लोग ज्यादा कमा पाते हैं, मतलब जो आर्टिसंस हैं वो ज्यादा कमा पा रहे हैं। और दूसरा जो मैंने बताया था कि स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन नहीं है प्रोडक्ट का, टेक्नोलॉजी के वजह से हम स्टैंडर्डाइज भी कर पा रहे हैं। तो ओवरऑल जो आर्टिसंस हैं हमारे साथ जो काम कर रहे हैं वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा खुश हैं, ताकि उनको उनको अपने स्किल में ज़्यादा टाइम स्पेंड नहीं करना पड़ रहा है। और वो कम से कम टाइम में ज़्यादा प्रोडक्ट्स बना पा रहे हैं और अच्छी क्वालिटी में बना पा रहे हैं।
Sounds wonderful. And it was quite right. Like, whatever they require, if you give them that, the performance would increase by the number you just said. Romit, can we have your take on the same?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Shashank rightly said, that engineering tools are definitely these new tools available are itself a revolution. That is the technology that these craftsmen require. Few machines that can easily, create intricate details in wood. Making intricate all those Indian details easier to carve in the wood. Maybe bending complex material like brass metal. Such small tools, where the engineer comes into picture. Having said that, I would never prefer the modular practice, as it is actually, making craftsmen lazy. People coming from modular practice are not able to, or I would not call them as a karigar, or I would rather quote them as an English word called carpenter, where they can just cut and stick. So both the things are, the technology kills the craftsmanship. It also evolves and quantify the furniture or whatever product that we make. So yeah.
Thank you, Romit. Thank you, all of you. And moving on to the next question. So, given the slower rates of production, reduced machine usage, and higher prices, how can both designers and artisans who prioritize ethical and sustainable methods effectively compete with this cheaper machine made alternative? Can we have Jenny to say more on this?
While there is often a tendency to compare brands like BESO with mass manufacturers, we do not see ourselves in competition with them at all. In reality, there's no comparison because the operations and the philosophy are completely different. Our focus is on preserving legacies, empowering artisans, creating unique designs that solve problems, not competing with machine made products. However, each practice has its own approach and set values. However, Beso deeply is committed to art and craftsmanship, particularly. Um, My work as a designer has always centered around collaborating with skilled artisans, integral traditional techniques, and thoughtful designs. And it's these hands on and human driven approaches that define us in what we do. For us, the goal isn't purely commercial, it's about reviving the soul of India's artisanal heritage and breathing life into these products.
Thank you, Jenny. Sankalpa, can we have you on the say the same on this?
Yeah, so look, whenever we buy something, we buy because we discriminate. We buy one as against the other. So discrimination is intrinsic to any kind of things that we have selected. The question is, um, should one choose to, let's say, compete with machine-based product or not? I don't think that we should. That should be the model of discussion. The discussion should be what value does both of them add. So I do feel machine-made things add a lot of value um, because if you have to cater to a um, large number of people with a quality product, it's not literally possible to have million artisans of the same quality and status. So it really improves the overall um, society ability to access good quality products. So certainly, machine-based products are extremely important, and personally, I value it a lot because it does their job very well. Now then the question comes in, what does the artisanal roles are? So obviously, because we think that there is a value to hand, and the value to hand comes because the hand is human. It creates error. Um, it has to do some extraordinary things, which once you are selling to somebody, the person knows that it's made out of hand and it's not made out of machine. It has taken time. So we need both in terms of quality but also in terms of value. We need to establish value, and therefore such kind of product needs to go to people who have accumulated a wealth and can promote such craft, because at that point it is easier to offload, and also it makes sense to spend money in labor to get it rather than to spend money in time to get it. So there is a careful balance that once we understand, there is a space for everything. Thank you.
Shashank, how do you prioritize the methods effectively?
So here, what I think if I'll talk about, let's say, slower production and slower consumption, तो उससे क्या होगा, स्लोअर प्रोडक्शन से मतलब हमारा हमारा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कैसे काम कर रहा है कि स्लोअर प्रोडक्शन से क्या होगा कि विल बी एबल टू मेक लेस प्रोडक्ट्स इन मोर अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम. तो उसके वजह से क्या होगा कि वी विल बी इंक्रीजिंग द कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स, और जब वो प्रोडक्ट कॉस्ट बढ़ेगा देन वील बी ओनली एबल टू केटर अ वेरी नीश ऑडियंस. तो वो जब नीश ऑडियंस को जब केटर करेंगे तो पर हमारे इंडिया में करीब 7 मिलियन से ज्यादा आर्टिसंस हैं, और बैम्बू में खासकर काम करने वाले मतलब अबाउट विल बी 5 to 7% आर्टिसंस जो सिर्फ बैम्बू में काम कर रहे हैं. तो इतने लोगों को एम्प्लॉयमेंट देना और इतने लोगों को ये करना, मतलब वो अपने स्किल के जरिए वो पैसे कमा पा रहे हैं, ये चीज़ करना बहुत ही मुश्किल हो जाएगा इतने नीश ऑडियंस को लेकर. तो व्हाट वी रियलाइज कि हमें मतलब थोड़ा मास नहीं तो फिर बैच प्रोडक्शन में जाना पड़ेगा आर्टिसंस को हेल्प करके, वही जैसे मैंने कहा टेक्नोलॉजी को लेकर. तो वी आर देयर हैज टू बी अ बैलेंस बिटवीन टेक एंड वो क्राफ्टमैन स्किल हैंडवर्क जो वो लेके, वी हैव टू फाइंड अ बैलेंस बिटवीन दीज टू. और उस हिसाब से हमें ऑडियंस को केटर करना है कि हमें लार्जेस्ट ऑडियंस में जाना है या स्मॉलर नीश ऑडियंस में जाना है. मतलब प्रोडक्ट का वैल्यू, प्रोडक्ट का प्राइस दे पाए. So
True,
that's my take on this.
true,
Okay.
true. I agree to you completely. Romit, can you please elaborate your take on the same?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, according to me, no designer or no craftsman really needs to bother about the cheaper alternatives or machine-made pieces, because something which a machine can never do is what hands can do. That is the beauty of a handmade product. A machine can never think like a karigar. Same product made by two different karigars are also so distinct. So every karigar making a certain kind of a detail will look different from person to person. And ornamented craft of one karigar will always look different than another, and that is the beauty. So we need not bother about what is machine made or what is handmade, and nothing to do with affordability. I mean, it is very basic. Like during the before partition, when Britishers had made the South Bombay, all these details that you see on the buildings were done all around, in entire British or in entire British colonies, because it were done in masses. Because the practice has reduced, it is why it has become expensive. I'm not saying that inducing all the categories and making it a mass product will make the product or anything make cheaper, but definitely affordable. So promoting will help, and not comparing it with what is machine made or what is handmade.
Thank you, Romit. Moving on to the next segment, which is Indian design and the market. My next question would be, who effectively is the Indian design community adapting to the evolving needs of new markets? Please elaborate on an example that illustrates the current state of design in India. Who would like to take on this? You can just,
I mean, I can go. I don't mind.
yes,
I
please.
mean, design in India, is evolving crazily. You can say that it's no the Indian design community, but the whole of India is evolving in functionality and aesthetics. 20 years back, when I see as a designer, were never the first thought to make a home. My parents never knew that there is even a concept of hiring an interior designer or an architect. They got their work done by the contractors that they knew from their friends, or they already knew. So, basically, it's not just in India, but Indian architects and designers, and also Indian karigars, the Indian furniture, the light products are now loved by all globally. We are known for it. For example, Indian furnitures are getting exported. People like a show like India Design is doing better than Isola is an example. So, definitely our products, our designs are loved. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Who would like
Romit
to take?
rightly said. Yeah, rightly said, Romit. Again, uh, this also depends upon the back end actually, जो हमारे मतलब पूरा Indian manufacturing force जो काम कर रही है. Uh, मतलब current years में what I have seen कि there is a lot of production that has happened in industrial point of view कि आपको ना हर तरह का स्क्रू हर तरह का बोल्ट हर तरह का मतलब इलेक्ट्रिकल्स इवन इलेक्ट्रिकल्स और मतलब पता नहीं क्या क्या चीज आप इफ यू आप बस एक बार चावड़ी बाजार में चले जाओ या कहीं पे भी चले जाओ आपको एक एक गली में एक अच्छे अच्छे क्वालिटी का छोटा छोटा सामान आपको अवेलेबल मिल जाएगा अपने प्रोडक्ट्स में लगाने के लिए तो ऑल दीज थिंग्स गिव्स अ बैकबोन to the designers to create something extraordinary. तो ये सारे चीजें मुझे लगता है कि काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है जो चीजें हो रही हैं फॉर इंडियन डिजाइन कम्युनिटी टू ग्रो अपॉन.
I think it's essential to recognize the diverse and the subjective nature of each practice. Like Romit correctly said, that India is at its forefront in the global design revolution, with each designer having highly individual approach towards what we call design. While many may focus on preserving the craftsmanship and legacies, others may prioritize responding to the rapidly shifting demands of the mass consumers. For those who, for those of us who are conscious of the heritage and the craft, design is eternal and not ephemeral. Our philosophy is driven by the fleeting trends in the of mass consumerism, but by creating pieces that last long and resonate beyond a particular moment. I believe evokes a sense of timelessness, and that's what we try to do in our products. That create pieces that are timeless, and we do not constantly need to respond to the ever-changing trends and run on the path that everyone is kind of running on. And I think that is what makes Indian designers different and distinct in their own practices.
Yeah. So it's my turn, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. See, the thing is, I'll pick up a different thread because some of the issues are covered. Um, See, we are living in a very interconnected world. And we are living in a far more interconnected world because for clients, most designers are picking up images from Pinterest and sharing, which is coming from across the globe. So, so the nature of design and the information is now available um, in your in moments what was not available for somebody who would be designing in the 90s or in 80s. Okay, so does the concept of India changes in 80s, 90s, and 2024 when you have got enormous amount of access to information. Also, you have got enormous amount of access to technology. The places like China is the global hub of producing many of these tools and technology. So it's the manufacturing capital of the world. For whatever reasons, we don't have to discuss about that. Uh, Similarly, you'll also find that a knowledge where you require less labor is coming from Europe and other parts where labor is actually in shortage because of the population decline and also in the way labor is seen. So in Europe, a computer engineer perhaps and a carpenter may earn same. One should not be surprised about it. So what is Indian then? Um, and what can we call an Indian? Because the same question can be asked by a Vietnamese, a Chinese, or a European or a US to say that what is US about that product? Given the fact that the influences today are widespread, the tools and technology that we are using is widespread. So I find this question very difficult to answer actually, because um, and I don't want to get to sort of promote what we do, but if we really think critically about ourselves, the knowledge is also universal. So any kind of a knowledge is not your domain. It is the domain of the world. What is important is the physical context and within which it is operated. Because even if you look at the cultural context, there is a widespread similarity between you having coffee in Starbucks in Vietnam or in India. Okay, so so I'm quite a skeptical person that I don't find myself capable to address this question of what is Indian. What we are capable of addressing is our own abilities, and we have our abilities. Our designers do have our abilities. They get recognition across the world. Um, our designers, to add to it, our designers also come studying from outside. Would you call that an Indian designer then? I mean, there is so much difficulty in trying to get if you have to problematize this issue. So what I can say that we're doing quite well. Young people are doing very well. At least they are whatever they're doing nicely. There is a lot of young designers who have come. They're sensitive. I'm not sure about that. Designers' job is to save the craft. I will completely not agree because it is uh, beyond the forces that actually operates. We are just a small participant in the economic forces and political forces, which none of us have any say about it. But I think that Indians do good design. They get recognition, and that's what is nice about it. I would end up like that.
So while we are discussing Indianness here, so Indianness in interior and product design, Aspirants often use specific elements and label them as Indian. In your opinion, what defines Indianness? Like rooted in tradition or anything made in India?
Who wants to go ahead?
I
I
mean,
could, I could.
Again,
yeah, please go ahead.
this is because वो इंडियननेस वाली चीज जैसे संकल्प ने बोला कि मतलब इतना ग्लोबल हो चुका है सारा कुछ तो आई गेस इंडियननेस वाली ऐसी कोई चीज नहीं है पर मतलब लोग अपने ही अ, मतलब जो ज्योग्राफिकली और कल्चरली जो प्रॉब्लम वो देख रहे हैं वो उसी को ट्राई कर रहे हैं सॉल्व करने का तो मेरे को लगता है मेरा टेक यही है इसमें
Let me try and articulate this further.
या
See, Indianness is a term which is, quite close to Ramanujam's writing. Okay, um, what is an Indian way of thinking? This famous article, um, and of course there are articulations around that. Um, Now the question is that one can only talk about the approach or the process that one takes in a cultural context, Indian, not the outcome of it. What we generally are looking at is an outcome of it, but for example, outcome can come through industrial modes of production, and outcome can come also through hybrid modes of production, and outcome can come also through hand. Okay, so the thing is, when we are buying an Apple phone today, Apple phone is manufactured in India, and Apple watches are manufactured in China. Okay, what is Indian? What is American about it? The technology is American about it. Okay, but the manufacturing skills are Chinese about it. The users are very universal about it. The cultural context of China ensures that such a fine product can be both produced, manufactured, assembled, etc. Okay, so then we have to look at the Chinese way of working. Okay, whether you like it or not, similarly we have to look at the Indian way of working. How do we access to work? How do we produce thing, and what is the process? So can we pin down that to say that is this an Indian process? That would be very difficult because our hands are colored as well in terms of the historical, social, and cultural context of production if we get into it. Uh, but there are also spaces of enjoyment and empowerment and something extraordinary as well. And I think Indianness means that you dwell within the discomfort of what was socially, uh, politically, and culturally done, which in my view is not right, versus what we do, which is in the way we do it. What Jenny was talking about, or Romit about empowering, or in whatever way a designer is sort of trying to do it, to mend its way, but also to produce an excellent piece of work. So can you identify as Indian? Then you will only get ornamentation. But there is something more to it, and that something more to it is what Indian is.
Yeah.
Sankalpa very rightly articulated that India has always been a melting pot of ideas, cultures, civilizational histories, creating a syncretic whole. This rich influences and confluence has shaped India, and in a way, it makes it impossible to isolate one style as an exclusivity that we call Indianness today. Um, India, like India's history, design like India's history has always evolved and transformed, absorbing elements from different branches of traditions. There is no moment that fully encapsulates what it means to be Indian. And I believe that anything that is made on Indian soil by Indian hands and by Indian souls can be called Indian.
I think when I am concerned, I can talk for an hour on this topic, but I'll brief down my thoughts. I mean, the answer to this question can be like something, you know, simply made in India is made in India, which is Indian. I mean, may it be Kutch thread work, thread artwork, those RE works, hand RE, ornamentations done, the detailed done by a Pondicherry artisan on wood, hand ceramic art, terracotta work, black clay work, thread work, all these, in fact, all the, patterns are all over in all the states of India. Every part of India has its own pattern. And, one thing which is very famous is what I'm also proud of is Indian carpets are all over the world, which has all these patterns which I named. So that is a recognition that it is Indian. It can be made in China also, but the thing is that it's an Indian thing. So that is the Indianness that defines the design and art and craft.
Also,
Very, very well.
also the designs that are currently there. I mean, whatever is getting produced from the Indian, तो वो सारा डिजाइन्स अपना जियो पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट और जियोग्राफिकल लोकेशंस और ना जाने क्या क्या चीज़ों का आउटकम हो रहा है और आई गेस यही इंडियननेस को डिफाइन कर रहा है अपने मतलब फ्यूचर को भी डिफाइन करेगा और अपने हिस्ट्री को भी डिफाइन करेगा और ये करते आया है ठीक है तो आई गेस इसमें ना कोई हम लोग को कोई फोर्सफुल कोई डिजाइन इंटरवेंशन इंडियननेस करके ऐड नहीं करना चाहिए वो हमारे लिए एक मतलब कैसे एक फोर्सफुल सा कोई चीज हो जाएगा रादर देन इसको ऐसे ही चलने देना चाहिए जो कि ना हिस्ट्री अपने आप इसमें बनते जाएगी और उसका रॉनेस दिखता जाएगा कि ये इन चीज़ों का एमलगमेशन है इन जियो पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज या जो भी इश्यूज हैं उनका एमलगमेशन की वजह से ये सारे डिजाइन इवॉल्व हुए हैं
Thank you, Shashank.
Yeah.
So, when you design, do you focus on creating solutions tailored to a specific context, or do you incorporate contemporary elements to appeal to a global market?
I could go first if
Yes, please.
when designing, I generally focus on creating solutions that are specifically tailored to a unique context of each project. Every client brings in their own set of requirements, which must be aligned with their personal space or individual needs. As a designer, we essentially are problem solvers, responding to this distinct demands of each client. For me, design is an adaptive response to specific challenges of a given context. However, when I'm designing for a broader audience, I naturally adapt to a more contemporary approach that might appeal to a wider market, while still remaining deeply rooted in our culture and foundations. There is a quote that I'd like to bring up. Mahatma Gandhi once said that I do not want my house to be walled in all sides and my windows to be stuffed. I want all cultures of all lands to be blown in my house as freely as possible. But I refuse to blow off by my feet by any. This quotation, I think, reflects my openness as a designer to the global influences while being anchored to our heritage. And as a designer, I take great pride in being both a custodian and a patron of a rich cultural legacy.
Who would like to take this ahead?
Yeah, I
so
mean,
for me Hit हाँ go ahead Romit no problem
no, please go ahead. Please
yes
go ahead. Please.
Okay. तो फॉर मी देयर इज नथिंग लाइक कि एक स्पेसिफिक कॉन्टेक्स्ट के लिए करना है तो जनरली आवर प्रोडक्ट्स व्हाट वी डिजाइन एट मियांजी वो ग्लोबल मार्केट के लिए ही होता है देन वी मतलब स्लोली वी गेट टू रियलाइज कि क्या काम कर रहा है क्या इंडिया में काम कर रहा है क्या ग्लोबल मार्केट में काम कर रहा है फॉर एग्जांपल वी इनिशियली यूज्ड टू हैव pretty लार्जर प्रोडक्ट्स एज एन ये इसके कैटेगरी में देखें तो लाइटिंग के कैटेगरी में तो हम काफ़ी बड़े बड़े प्रोडक्ट्स बना रहे थे दैट वर डूइंग वेल इन ग्लोबल मार्केट्स बट सडनली देन वी रियलाइज कि इंडियन मार्केट के लिए हमें थोड़े से छोटे प्रोडक्ट्स बनाने पड़ेंगे तो हमने ट्राई क्योंकि मुंबई और साउथ वाले सिटीज में, हैदराबाद वगैरह में थोड़े छोटे घर होते हैं, तो उसमें इतने बड़े बड़े लाइट अकोमोडेट नहीं किया जा सकता। तो वी स्लोली वी अंडरस्टूड कि अच्छा यहाँ पे छोटे छोटे प्रोडक्ट्स काम करने चाहिए। तो वी स्टार्टेड मेकिंग स्मॉलर प्रोडक्ट्स एंड ऑल्सो फ्लैट पैक प्रोडक्ट्स। तो उसके वजह से हमारा मतलब इंडिया में सेल्स ज़्यादा ग्रोथ हुआ स्मॉलर प्रोडक्ट्स का, और ग्लोबली बड़े प्रोडक्ट्स का मतलब काफ़ी अच्छा सेल हो रहा है। तो दैट्स हाउ वी टेक अबाउट कि क्या काम करता है ग्लोबल, और कोई स्पेसिफिक कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कैसे हम लोग अप्रोच करते हैं किसी सॉल्यूशन में। यस रोमन।
Yeah. So, in our studio, I always tell everyone that, that language is important, in any design, there is a language which is important. So the focus is and has always been towards the context. To my belief, the brief of the project, is a Bible. Following that brief and solving all those projects, for solving all those challenges which comes along with the brief, like for example, in a house, if there are five people will have their own thoughts. They'll come up with their own choices. They'll come up with their own problems. And I always tell everyone in my studio that solving these problems will, the design will always fall in place. You'll find your aesthetics where to fit in. That is the beauty of a project or a product. The project or any piece is only successful if it satisfies the user. I don't I'm not concerned if it is liked by one and hated by all. But if it was made for someone and he or she uses that product and is happy with that particular product or the space, then the design is successful. That can never be one answer to this. Even if it is not loved, it completely serves the purpose is also good. The aesthetics will fall in place eventually. Maybe someone else will create something better out of the same thing, keeping the context in place. So yeah, the fundamentals will remain the same.
We can solve problems in the way in which we know. If there are things which requires a different way of solving the problem, we need to learn because that's not the way we solve it. The way we approach things is that we do address to the client's need because it's important, but that you address it in the way in which you know how to address it. So there are ways in which you can make lamps because that's the best way you know how to make lamp. You can't make lamp in some other way. For that, you require a different designer to make it. But over a period of time, what also happens is that we realize that there is it's a never-ending journey where after some time it is important to make contextualized things, but also to make standardized things. So, to address both becomes necessary because one will address a certain clientele, and the other will address the ease with which your manufacturing units can work. Because the more you start customizing it, backhand times increases, and it's not all the time possible to address to everybody's need. And remember, when you're a designer, ideally you should be able to cater to everybody, and not everybody can be in that niche area. So when you develop a template, when it is repetitive, you are able to cater to those clientele as well. So we do both. I would say that we address both global as well as contextual.
So moving on to the next segment. It is micro to macro interior design. And the first question here I would like to ask is right from a child to a senior citizen, everyone gets to use any piece of furniture or product. So how do you manage the ergonomics of different age group into one furniture piece?
It is, I mean, very subjective, when it comes to a piece of furniture. Just like the last segment where we spoke about, the user. It is very subjective to every user, because it is a piece which is supposed to be used by all, or it can be personal as well. Maybe a side table in a bedroom can be personal, but it is. I'll give you an example of a kid using a furniture, a toddler will grow with the usage of that furniture. So he will develop that love for that furniture with time. And on contrary, when there's an old person using that furniture, a touch and feel for him or her matters the most. You can. I think the piece should be ageless. It can the piece can never satisfy everyone's comfort. Everybody's comfort is different, and the ergonomic will be different for everybody. The ageless and the timelessness of that piece is what matters. Eventually, why we restore antiques is because it was serving a purpose for someone else, and now it can serve a purpose for somebody else. So very subjective.
Very
Yeah.
correctly said, Romit. I believe that it is very subjective. However, our furniture is crafted with a deep understanding of Indian ergonomic standards, tailored specifically to meet Indian users. Unlike global dimensions, which often do not allow the way Indians engage with a piece of furniture around their house, our designs reflect cultural behaviors. For example, us as Indians have a habit of sitting cross-legged on any furniture piece, and from it being a chair to a sofa to a swing, and this has led to creation of more voluminous pieces in our collections to accommodate such postures. If I had to design a chair which is at a 20-inch depth, I cannot have someone sit with a cross leg on a 20-inch chair, and hence we have to kind of slightly enlarge our pieces to accommodate these habits or these postures, um, without compromising, of course, on aesthetics. And I think this approach of mine has deeply been influenced by observing people watching in public spaces or on either bus stands or airports or at restaurants, in gatherings. And I think out of these observations, we have out of these observations we've been able to really beautifully design these pieces for our users.
Okay, see,
Yes.
it's very rare to get a brief where somebody would say that the same piece of furniture should work for everybody. So ideally, mostly in India, everybody would be following the ergonomics and the heights and all of those, which is quite Indian normal height, etc. But but to sort of think that the brief is given by, let's say, an adult, uh, where they distinguish between which chair and which table are for the kids and which are for them. There is a point beyond which you will not be able to do it, except the fact that um, you, if you are hypersensitive as an architect or as a designer, you'll ensure that up to a particular height, all kinds of building material or anything that you use, toddlers have a habit of chewing or touching and tasting, are basically not poisonous to them. Okay, that's the bare minimum uh, you can ensure, because the worm eye view of the world would be different. So the way they would climb on a sofa is going to be very different from the way it is. But that's how the growth has to be there. Um, I mean, your pants keep on keep on changing sizes when your kids grow faster. So there's a point after which you can't do anything. But
And also there are, multiple levels of interactions to a piece. So फर्स्ट इज फिजिकल इंटरेक्शन जो होगा, तो फिजिकल इंटरेक्शन जब होगा तो एर्गोनॉमिक्स विल प्ले अ वेरी लार्जर एंड इम्पोर्टेंट रोल। तो उसमें तो आई गेस मतलब ज्यादा मतलब बहुत बड़ा पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं है कि हम एज के मतलब सारे एज के लोग एक ही तरह का फर्नीचर यूज कर पाए, तो दैट्स नॉट अ पॉसिबिलिटी आई थिंक। then then there is another level of interaction कि आप कहाँ पर आप रख रहे हो, वो कैसा दिख रहा है, what are the aesthetics of it and what are the color that you are using। तो उसमें हम थोड़ा प्ले कर सकते हैं कि if there is a let's say if there is a furniture और वो एक सर्टेन जगह पे रखा हुआ है, तो वो कलर हो सकता है कि छोटे बच्चे को भी पसंद आ रहा हो, अडल्ट को भी पसंद आ रहा हो, और सीनियर सिटीजन को भी पसंद आ रहा हो। तो दैट्स हाउ वी कैन प्ले विथ इट। जहाँ तक फिजिकल इंटरेक्शन मतलब इस तरह से हम लोग लेवल्स में काम कर रहे होते हैं जब तक प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन कर रहे होते हैं, ठीक है। तो अर्गोनॉमिक्स जो कि सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, जहाँ पे फिजिकल इंटरेक्शन होता है, तो उसमें कॉम्प्रोमाइज तो नहीं कर सकते।
Moving on to the next part, when designing a space or a product, the thought process behind its functionality is carefully considered. So, however, over time, how does the functionality change after the project completion? Does it remain the same or does it differ? How do you take it?
I mean, it again depends on the client's brief. If the client wants to, get the house made for themselves or to show the audience. The brief basically defines it. But what I'd say is it is the furniture and other products which are complex in making, where you have to understand the a lot of things like space. I'm not saying it's easier to design, but I'm saying that a product or a piece is complex to design. You know, in architecture, there's term part to the whole and whole to the part. So everything depends on the entire language. You know, making it bespoke makes it personal in one way of showing a quality, exclusivity, attention to the detail. That all makes a personal touch. So somebody calling that this is my chair and I sit on this, and it has all these things. That means that is working for them. So furniture which a user can tell it theirs, make themselves feel cozy within. I think this feeling of personalization itself is very I can say very personal, or maybe Indian is what I can say.
I would just मतलब recently we designed a stool, just an example I am talking about। तो वो स्टूल हमने मतलब this was just designed for the seating purpose, तब later on we realized उनका उसका सेल काफी ज्यादा होने लग गया। Then later on realized a lot of people they have been buying this tool for just for displaying their artworks on it। तो ऑल दिस थिंग्स वी गेट टू नो कि ऐसे चीजें हो रही है। हम लोग एक स्पेसिफिक क्लाइंट को मतलब क्लाइंट ब्रीफ नहीं देता, वी हैव टू इमेजिन आवर ओन क्लाइंट सिंस वी आर अ बैच मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और लेट्स से मास मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। तो दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट इज मतलब ये सारी चीजें हो रही है। देन वी हैव आल्सो डिजाइंड ट्रेज for food serving purpose and all। So we have seen these trays and के लिए रख रहे हैं these trays। So हाँ, people वो अपना functionality कहीं ना कहीं से वो निकाल लेते हैं।
See, this question that you asked has two components to it. One is about the space, which is to a large extent is made out of movable things and immovable things. So, immovable things are like openings, movable things are like light. So, your light changes, and so your relationship to the same opening changes. And your furniture are again fixed and flexible. So, your furniture also changes depending on whether it is flexible or fixed. So, Now, why I wanted to elaborate on that, that irrespective of who they are, different people we have observed have found different times in which they use different sets of furniture in different spaces or even in the same spaces. So, so in spite of the fact that you are thinking for a specific purpose, it is repurposed for something else, which is actually good because it has added more versatility to its use other than what a designer would have thought. So, um, so both space in term through light and furniture through fixed and movable have this have this component, and that I think what makes things richer and what makes things personal. So the same furniture is used by different people in different way because it has been personalized, which is a nice part of it actually.
I agree with Sankalpa. So functionality doesn't simply begin or end with a project or a user. I think it evolves with the user along with the space that it has been designed for. When designing a space or a product, functionality is, of course, at its is the core of its success. A piece of furniture, no matter how visually appealing, will fail if it causes discomfort or doesn't serve its purpose ultimately. Um, I believe that furniture gives a character to the space and interacts with its environment and its user in meaningful ways. And it's highly contextual. Each piece not only fulfills the need but also enhances and defines its surrounding, and which is why it is so important to for the forms that we design to follow function.
I completely agree, Jenny. Like, of course, as you said, the furniture piece, it gives a character to the space. And all of us, we feel that whenever we go to our home, any of the furniture piece, any surroundings we see, we feel at home. That gives the character to the space. So, moving on to the next segment, which is innovation and technology. The question I would like to say here is the simulation driven design changed product development forever. So how designers they reduce design iterations and prototype testing, and what do you think the role of AI is here in optimizing any product design?
So recently, we worked on a project for a fashion designer called Amit Agarwal. ठीक है तो सो दैट वाज एक्चुअली एक महीने का प्रोजेक्ट था जो कि बहुत कम टाइम था एंड दैट वाज अबाउट 50 फीट बाई 35 फीट का एरिया वी नीड टू कवर विथ बैम्बू इंस्टॉलेशन so what we figured out was we made we made a whole simulation uh, of of these bamboo ribbons कि वो कैसे bend होगा कितना radius होगा in grasshopper and using grasshopper and rhino तो ये सिमुलेशन बनाने के वजह से ना वी विल बी एबल टू came up with a design जो कम टाइम में एग्जीक्यूट किया जा सके तो दैट काइंड ऑफ हेल्प वी आर गेटिंग by using these kind of technology into our craft segment and और ये this whole area 50 by 35 feet का जो area था this was completed just in 6 hours with only 5 artisans मतलब ये जो install करने का time था just by 5 artisans तो I feel कि ये power होता है tech का use करने को लेकर तो for me it's a really good thing for us.
I would like to differ because I am not technology driven, and I would want people to in my studio to work on technology, but I myself don't. So my a very simple piece of furniture which we made has sold the most, and that was sketched in our workshop, a single line sketch. We made a firma, in 1:1 on the basis of the sketch, and we were confident, and then we went ahead with it. So that is also a way where we can, expedite the entire process. But no, having said that, definitely softwares have to, it is a person or a thought behind the software which matters more. than actual software. Definitely now there is BIM, which solves a lot of technical problems like Revit. Rhinos and Grasshopper again solves a lot of technical details for us. But it again, reiterations are part of designs. Even after making a 3D model and drawing, we change quite a bit of detail on site or maybe in a workshop. Like for example, this is made, and something like there's a curve which is more steeper, or maybe we can put more supports, or you can lessen the supports, and that will make a piece look good. So personal touch is always preferred. So handmade or anything, uh, artificial intelligence is for me is again artificial. So yeah, so I put more emphasis on what is pen and paper and hands on is what is my preference in a practice, because that is that is love which we induce in piece or a space.
AI has undeniably become a powerful tool in manufacturing designs and design process optimization. However, like Romit said, it cannot fully replace the human mind's capacity for creativity and emotional depth. AI can definitely and effectively streamline tasks like prototyping and iterating designs, like Shashank sir mentioned, significantly reducing the manual effort and traditional and the time that it would require to sort of make these products. And it can only help us enhance our processes, is what I believe.
See, we need to grasp with technology and understand it fully is how we look at it, uh, because it carries certain skills to do something, to do a task, but it also carries specific knowledge. Um, this we are intrigued by the knowledge that any entity carries, because that is what furthers things. So what these tools are, they are remarkable tools. Let me say that they are wonderful because it is the first time in the history of mankind that uh, uh, we see a shift in the way we use machines. So before that, designers were sketching, then they started using AutoCAD, then they started SketchUp, then all this software. But this was the first shift in which a software had a thinking ability, or at least something where it was able to offer you and to show you a palette of imagination. So then the question starts coming is that once you have got little grasp over this tool, it is not the imagination which is important, it is the elimination which is important. So now you do the reverse thing. Instead of having 20 iterations, because if I do 20 iterations, the machine does 2000 iterations. So my ability to iterate is less, but my ability to decide is far more powerful than the machine. So the process of elimination becomes important today. Parameters to set for elimination becomes important parameters. So actually, uh, it does wonders, and if you misuse any tool, it's a misuse. But if you know how to use tools, I think every tool has its own advantage. And in my personal view, and the way we handle is that we are fully open to that, because if you look at historically, people who have not been open to their time in terms of tools and technology, history has not seen them well. Okay, I'm just giving you example. What history has. So, for example, Corbusier and all those architects who were there, modernists or the designers, all of them fully embraced their time. There was only one or two architects which was getting noticed, like Hassan Fati or somebody. Otherwise, the rest of them were completely absorbed and produced of their time. Whether you like it, not like it, critique it is a different matter. So personal choices, yes, people are free to do it, but from purely agnostic point of view, I feel it's a wonderful tool.
So thank you so much for that. And moving ahead, So, converting the waste into products is an emerging trend in industrial production right now. So, how do you innovate with repurposed materials while ensuring durability and longevity into it?
I mean, a very simple, material like reclaimed wood. I'm sure every one of us over here uses that. That is again repurposing the material, and it is longevity in itself. It has seen so many weathers, climatic conditions. It is already strong, and why not to use it? I mean, it is so beautiful, and teak wood being the king of all the woods. So that itself is, repurposing a material, and that is actually the sustainable. The practice of sustainability is not using organic materials or anything, but repurposing the materials and using it for, the entire piece of furniture has its own shape and form, and it lives another life for at least more 50 to 70 years. That is something, for me, durability or longevity is. You know, it is not. You cannot say it as a waste, but it is a resource. Is what we should, quote it. It's not only teak wood. Like there is plastic. People are making beautiful pieces out of plastic. There is someone, I don't know the name, but is making lights out of the waste PVC pipes, coloring it and making it so beautiful. There are people who are using the waste plywood, using technology to bend those plywood with steam and utilizing it for furniture. There's such fascinating things. So it is basically a resource and not a waste product. Waste is when you throw it to the nature and keep the nature responsible for it. It is, I think, our responsibility. That is durability, and which is sustainability for me.
Most of our furnitures are made out of recycled uh, teak, like what Romit was saying. So I don't think so far we have bought hardly some cubic feet of timber. So we are anyway using whatever is available. And in my view, most designers are actually using, whoever I know, try to do as much as possible. So I think that we don't have to now explain to the generations who are coming about this question. They are coming with fully aware about it, and they would be far more sensitive than us. We are doing our job, but I'm sure they would do better than us. It's the time that compels us to do it and to sort of work around the constraints of our time.
For me, it's संकल्प फॉर मी इट्स द सेम मतलब आप जैसे कोई दूसरा मटेरियल यूज कर रहे हो, लेट्स से बैम्बू या कोई सा भी मटेरियल आप ले लो, तो वेस्ट मटेरियल भी उसी तरह ट्रीट करना चाहिए। मेरे को तो लगता है कि उसमें कोई डिफरेंस नहीं होगा अनलेस हम किसी को हार्म कर रहे हैं या किसी तरह से किसी चीज़ का फ़ायदा उठा रहे हैं। लेट्स से मतलब उससे जितने भी स्टेक होल्डर्स कनेक्टेड है, लेट्स से वेदर इट इज़ मतलब नेचर एक स्टेक होल्डर है, आर्टिसन एक स्टेक होल्डर है, या एक पूरा एक अलग सा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एक स्टेक होल्डर है। सबको प्रॉफिटेबल होना चाहिए। प्रॉफिटेबल नॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ मनी, in terms of sustainability, in terms of everything, मतलब every aspect of it, मतलब multifaceted है ये सारा। तो मेरे को लगता है कि कोई इसके लिए अलग सा नहीं चाहिए। We need to treat this as a material, not waste material ऐसा नहीं है, as a material itself.
Yeah, it's a resource basically. It's not a waste.
It's a resource
Yeah.
for some other task, and then it becomes some other task. That's what is the
Yeah.
difference.
It is
Jenny,
very important that we make the entire supply chain sustainable, like Shashank sir mentioned. BESO, since its inception, we've been exclusively using reclaimed teakwood, like Romit and Sankalpa sir mentioned, sourced from old century buildings in the cities. This wood has endured over 100 years of seasons, giving it a remarkable durability and strength. We effectively refer to this reclaimed wood as veteran wood due to its proven resilience against decay, termite, weather, be it whatsoever. And I think it only strengthens our products and make it distinct in the market.
That was very insightful to have a take on each and every, the repurposed products which you make. So, moving on to the next segment, we would like to know about the more opportunities and challenges which you people face. So, my first question here would be, what is your perspective on the transformative role that interior designers in India can play in advancing the Make in India initiative? And can they encourage clients to reduce imports and promote Indian alternatives?
Uh, I'd like to go ahead on this. इसमें I feel कि rather than forcing our clients to चीज लेनी चाहिए, इंडिया को प्रमोट करना चाहिए, मेरे को लगता है कि हमें हमें अपने प्रोडक्ट्स की क्वालिटी को इम्प्रूव करना चाहिए, एंड ऑल इम्प्रूवमेंट विल बी हैपनिंग of because hello this will happen only because it will create a bit of unconventional design. Let's say if I'm talking about, if we are talking about craft, कि जो अभी जो सालों से करते आ रहे हैं उसको लेते हुए अपने मतलब कंटेम्प्रेरी डिजाइन को इंटीग्रेट करते हुए वी कैन मेक समथिंग आउट ऑफ इट, and also to to increase our quality and durability of the product. So all these things will ये अपने क्लाइंट को इंडियन क्लाइंट्स को हेल्प करेगा कि इंडिया की प्रोडक्ट्स खरीदने में, rather than forcing them to it from import it from outside from India.
I think all these together, all the things that we discussed together will make a difference. One thing is educating our clients. These are the designs that Indian market has. Maybe they've never heard or maybe they've never seen about it. Taking them to show the Indian people in getting them to shows like IIDA and lot many which now India has taken up. Every 2 months there is an exhibition where designers are exhibiting. The karigars are getting their recognition. Like Sankalpa sir rightly said that uh, uh, a person working in an IT and a carpenter earns at par. That bridge, when it is met, everything will fall in place. The efficiency will also fall in place because now they are getting the recognition. Earning is not a problem for them. They already earn well, but a good recognition will make the entire process very efficient. Abhi, the complaints are in India that everything gets delayed. Like, for example, a piece of furniture takes 30 days. Like, bringing it down to a 7 days will, that is the confidence that our clients want, the people in India wants. I don't think so. The spending is a problem. While that will also make things affordable. So time is money, and that is the reality. That obviously it's not that India is getting faster; it's the entire world which is very much fast. You know? So yeah, everything that we discussed, if everything falls in place, that Make in India initiative will on its own work. It's the Indian. Uh, it's us who will have to make it happen rather than uh, quoting is at it as a Make in India and creating it as an initiative. The process itself is an initiative.
Well, but see, the thing is, this again needs little rethinking. Um, we need to understand the resource distribution in India. India is not a wealthy country in that sense. Resource is not evenly distributed. So if the resources are not evenly distributed, the problem always is funding. And you cannot get certain things if the funding is not there, because you need certain machinery, um, you need certain kind of know-how to produce some kind of a product. You can do very well, let's say for example in your teak furniture, because the products that you are using, they are not expensive. If you do very handwork, I mean, you can get excellent quality with that. The same you will not be able to get if you really want to do some mix with steel and all of those. Because the moment you do, you have to go to manufacturing, which does very good manufacturing quality. So when you start mixing these two together, it requires certain scales of your finances and sort of production, etc. Now, we need to also up the game to say that if somebody is going and buying a chair which costs around 2 lakh or 1 lakh from Italy, then better produce that chair, because see, we have also seen that if you quote low for your client which is of a certain kind, they think that the quality is not good, and because their comparison is always with what is happening in Milan, and because they are very well exposed. So sometimes one has to play different kinds of thing to make uh, to make it aware. But I agree with what Shashank was saying. That attitude, perhaps, that we have to keep improving is a better way to go about it, rather than keep on complaining about it. But enabling environment we do need.
I would only
And
say that this is the time for India to prosper, and for everyone who's watching this panel, I would only urge architects, designers, and builders, and everyone involved in the procurement stages of projects to stop and reconsider sourcing materials that are made in India or are made in India. Let us take pride in supporting our own people and talent. By pivoting towards India, we will not only strengthen our design community but also uplift the nation's legacy and the craftsmanship.
True, very true. And this is here what we are doing right now. Enhancing and emphasizing on Indianness is what we believe in. So, moving on, what insights can you share about successfully marketing your designs? And could you discuss the positive impact of e-commerce platforms on reaching out to more design professionals?
Can I start? Uh,
Yes,
yeah,
please.
but before
yes.
Shashank, you start, let me say that I get lot of
Yes.
Instagram ad of Mianzi. And Mianzi is
That's what.
everywhere in my Facebook and in my Instagram. Now you can carry on.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Initially when we started this organization, we didn't have such kind of funding कि marketing वगैरह करेंगे. ठीक है. All of this was started with my and Ananta's savings. ठीक है, विच वॉज वेरी मतलब ज्यादा कुछ ऐसा नहीं था, बहुत ही कम अमाउंट में हमने ये सब स्टार्ट किया एंड दीज सेविंग्स सारा कुछ स्पेंड हो गया था इन आवर रिसर्च एंड डेवलपिंग अ फ्यू रेंजेस ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स. ठीक है, एवरीथिंग गॉट स्पेंट इन मतलब लेट्स से 3 महीने या 4 महीने में ही खत्म हो चुका था. देन मतलब eventually we were very particular about design, about our designs कि ऐसा ही बनाएंगे और ऐसा ही क्वालिटी अचीव करेंगे. Submitted these designs in various design competitions, जो मतलब जिनमें कोई स्पेंड नहीं करना पड़ता है, फ्री डिजाइन कॉम्पिटिशन्स में. तो in first year itself we won a couple of design competitions, L Decor, Young Talent of the Year award, Lexus Design award, then many more. So all these things were uh, acted as a passive marketing thing for us. हमने इसमें कोई स्पेंड नहीं किया. तो फर्स्ट फ्यू इयर्स वी डिड आवर मार्केटिंग लाइक दिस ओनली. ठीक है, तो इसी तरह से हमारा होने लग गया. देन जब ये होने लग गया देन वी स्टार्टेड गेटिंग ऑर्डर्स एंड तो ये फिर साइकिल चलना शुरू हो गया. एंड देन वी स्टार्टेड टू इन्वेस्ट इन एक्टिव मार्केटिंग कैंपेन्स एंड ऑल. So that's how Sankalp is getting ads on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. So yes, it does helps us a lot. But बहुत ही बड़ा चंक हम लोग को स्पेंड करना पड़ता है, ऑलमोस्ट लाइक 1/4 से 1/3 आपका टोटल रेवेन्यू का आपको मार्केटिंग में स्पेंड करना पड़ता है, इफ यू वांट टू इंक्रीज द, मतलब ड्रास्टिकली इंक्रीज, अगर हर साल आपको इंक्रीज करते रहना है तो अपने रेवेन्यू में। यस।
Like
No.
Shashank sir, we've never really focused on marketing our products. However, platforms like Archioo have thoughtfully curated brands like ours and helped us gain a significant traction to in this digital space to kind of advertise. I'll admit that we don't have we do not have a dedicated social media team or a marketing team. Yes, yet despite being in a smaller city, we have attracted clients from not only India but internationally. And I think at the end of the day, your design does the talking for you, and which is why we've never really had the need to, market as strongly. Thanks to Archio for creating such platforms in an Indian market to showcase brands like ours.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I would like to thank Archeo a lot because before this I never knew that how e-commerce platforms work. I never we have just maybe boosted an ad or so just for the sake of it. Like, let's see how it works. I mean, we have never been into a marketing campaign or again like Jenny. I mean, we have never we even we don't have a very well set marketing agency or anything. It's just the studio that helps ourselves, and we keep timely putting our pictures, and that is all that we know. Like now, Shashank has either given a good insight that all these competitions help generating passive awareness. And again, he has also scared me by saying that 1/4 of the revenue also goes into marketing. So again, the fight still begins. It's still there that should we market or should we not? I mean, the design will speak, but having a flat platform like Archeo definitely helps. The a better reach. So yeah, e-commerce platforms is what you know something which I've learned, and I'm very much grateful to Archeo for that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. We are glad that we were able to, bridge this gap which you were facing so far, and we hope we keep continuing doing this in the future as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
Sankalp.
been also getting lot of bells from Instagram. A couple of swings actually went to 1 million view. I don't know how what happens with it, but it. So we have started getting works, at least some amount of work we have started getting from clients whom we never knew through Instagram. Okay,
Yeah.
so but we're not as active as Shashank's Mianzi is pushing my Instagram to be. But I hope that our team realizes and picks it up.
No, being a furniture designer, I definitely love thumb impression chairs. I would wish to have them on my some of my interior projects rather than designing it themselves, because Sankalpa sir and the team has already done a better job.
Thanks.
That's true. That's true.
So moving on, this is quite a controversial question here. So in this highly competitive market, saturated with identical products, what key factors do usually distinguish one brand from the another? And how do designers strategically adapt their approaches, effectively compete with the China
I
products?
mean, why is it that China product is a China product? Chinese don't do Chinese products are really good. I mean, it's just that it caters to a very big audience, which is the entire globe. So it has the best quality. They have aced in best quality product, and they have been aced themselves in creating a very worst product in aesthetically looking very good. So they have both. In fact, we should learn from Chinese how to, make our processes and strengthen the processes to make it efficient. A country which can build a 57-story building in 17 days, I think. And why are we lacking behind? Maybe the insight which Sankalpa sir gave, that even the distribution of resources will help. Somewhere we can keep iterating our practices and compare. So I don't know why do we want to compare also with China? In fact, we should learn from them, and that is a better way to uh, see towards the future. Learning from the Chinese, Japanese, Germans in terms of technology, in terms of discipline, maybe. Even if we achieve 50% of the discipline that they have in their processes, will also help us make 10 times more products of what we are making right now. We as a designer have challenges that, and we everybody has a doubt that, for example, if we get an order of an entire house, if can we commit that it will happen in 40 days? It can be the 41st day, but Chinese will make it happen in 30th day. So, I mean, quoting it as any country's product and comparing it with them is not going to help. It is to learn from them will make our lives better.
Yeah, I think Romit, you made a good point here because um, it is best to learn to people who do better in any sector because that's a productive and constructive way to go about it than unhealthy and not really required negative competition for somebody who has to grow and learn and sort of move ahead. If you think about, let's say, bamboo sector, because in bamboo sector, Vietnam and China is far more ahead. So it's India is one of the largest bamboo plantation in the world, but it's like export would be 100 times less. I would say it imports most of the bamboo thing from outside. Uh, that is because see there is a s- there is a nature of uh, systematic support from government and industry together. When China comes, the Chinese government comes in. When a Chinese company comes, the Chinese government comes in. Okay, so uh, this they have invested systematically in R&D to flood your market, to flood everybody, and they're good things. I'm looking from a point of view. What is the equivalent stuff we need? See, we are still surviving by saying that we have so much population, therefore internally we'll be able to consume. That's not a very good way to go
That's a
about
nice.
it. Uh, the good way to about it that even if you're consuming within it, there is a certain level to it, both in terms of design, but also in terms of how you're using resources. Or no bamboo product or no bamboo um, thing gets wasted in China or Vietnam. Every part of it is being used for something or the other. Those are things we need to learn. So yes, China is a very good example, and yes, Romit was saying Germany are very good example. In fact, our automobile market are doing far better in some of the things. They are not doing better in, let's say, you know, Ferrari kind of a sector, etc. But they are doing reasonably all right in sort of other sector because they gained the knowledge and they did it. But the same what China did it. If you remember in the 90s, Chinese product was always considered a bad product. That's not true 20 years hence. So India will also pick up. We'll have to gear up for our own battles.
When it comes to standing out in a crowded marketplace, I believe us as designers carry the potential to create that niche for ourselves where we are not constantly compared with China. And my advice to any upcoming designer is to stay committed to our vision and stay authentic. Through precisions or iterations, your niche will naturally unfold. And I do not believe that there is a real comparison with mass manufactured products. like the Chinese products.
And also, this question has to do with identical products, matlab what others are making as well. So,
Yes.
usme, what my take on this would be कि whatever you'll make, you have to be ahead कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं. मतलब it's good कि आपका प्रोडक्ट कहीं पे या आपका आइडिया कहीं पे कॉपी हो रहा है. It's good to see that कि लोग I later realized this. पहले मुझे बहुत ही गुस्सा आता था और बहुत ही खराब लगता है कि ये क्या यार, ये डिजाइन कॉपी हो रहा है. पर इवेंचुअली आई गॉट टू नो दैट इट्स अ वैलिडेशन एक्चुअली कि लोग अब इस चीज को पसंद करने लगे हैं और वो अच्छे से यूज हो रहा है, लोगों के पास जा रहा है, मतलब डीपली. तो so that's a validation. and and also मतलब आपको ना आपको एक चीज में वो रखेगा, एक आपको आगे भगाते रहेगा कि आपको नए चीज निकालनी है, आपको नया चीज निकालना है. वो हो गया, अब आगे बढ़ो, अब ये चीज हो गया, अब ये आगे बढ़ो. तो आई टेक दिस एज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर आवरसेल्फ कि आगे कैसे ये साइकिल करते रहना है.
So coming, this is the end of the segments which we had, and I would like to ask Sankalpa that can you explain how prototypes, mock-ups, and scale models enhance your final designs, and especially for chairs, sofas, and other furniture intended for contemporary living spaces?
See, the thing is when one is designing furniture, um, furniture is easier to sort of model it, to make in parts, unlike let's say interior or unlike buildings. Um, so that's one very big advantage with furniture, that you can take more risk with furniture or making a lamp than if you have to make a mock-up of interior or of a building, because that's a very different ball game in terms of scales and money. Now, depending on the scales, some scales of, let's say, laser cutting models are made to check the profiling, because there you will not get the fine roundedness and things of those kind. So profiling and overall expression scale, that you get with small models, laser cut sort of models. Then from there you move to the next one where either some parts are worked out or full scale is done. When a full scale is done, obviously you are sitting, you are checking, you are sort of putting different parameters to it to find out whether this was rounded or not. So it's the mock-up is like an assembly where one part is changed, another part. So that process takes some time before it gets finished and goes to the client. We also get feedback from the client to complete the loop so that next time it sort of better gets improved. So each scale model does a specific task for us. Because that's the only way. And obviously, once you are doing a scale, then you will always make a jig and things of those kind, which all designers would sort of make from the point of view that if it works, then it becomes a template to repeat. So each work that we customize is actually from the imagination that it would be a repetitive product of future and not a bespoke. That's the way now we have started to think about. Earlier, we never used to think like that, but we started soon realizing is that after some time, the carpenters also gets fatigued, and there is a limit to what you can design. You can't design 100 things in 10 days. So you also need certain repetitive product, and so you create a fine balance between how much new versus how much old you will be sort of doing it, because then you can innovate better. So uh, so that's how we generally approach, and that makes things well rounded for us. Thanks.
Thank you, Sankalpa. So, moving on to Jenny, how do you address the lack of handmade products in sustainable furniture design in your practice while ensuring the human touch and preserving the Karigar craftsmanship?
Um, at BESO, we address this by placing craftsmanship at the heart of absolutely everything that we create. We see sustainable furniture more than just a trend, it's a commitment to creating lasting value through our thoughtful designs, sustainable practices, and respect the uh, crafts that we work with. By empowering artisans with tools, training, and resources, we ensure that the skills are preserved for future generations, while pushing the boundaries of what the handcrafted furniture can achieve in today's world.
Thank you, Jenny. Moving on to Romit, how do you incorporate contemporary and vernacular design languages in your practice and create this high quality products with a unique flow in materials, colors, and composition?
Uh, so the contemporariness comes into the practice itself. Contemporariness comes with the entire. It's very simple when I bring it down to the studio level. It's the people who follow your language, and they also define your language and make it stronger. The contemporariness is in that they adapt by what is demanded, or something which can be new. It's a very wide open question. So the contemporariness is in the practice itself. Vernacular design, uh, I don't know how to articulate it, but the vernacularness is in using those materials which is locally available, using the art and craft of the people, the speciality of people. For example, we try using artisans from Gujarat for, hand weaving. We try using Ari work of UP, Lucknow, where all these people are, doing the metal work. We try Pondicherry artists who are good at hand carving in the wood itself. The metal artisans of Jaipur. So that is vernacular for me. Making it true to themselves. I can't ask a person from Bombay to repeat the same thing which people are special. Like, I can't ask him to weave or put the brass tipai work in something, some furniture which I have designed. We will have to be give those pieces to the people who are already rooted. And the composition of the colors and everything is again keeps changing as and when the time demands, and the aesthetic changes. That is the I would say the new keep it's a process. You keep learning and you keep evolving.
Thank you, Romit. Uh, Moving on to the last question. So, Shashank, as one of the leading bamboo creators making a positive impact in India, we have always been awestruck by your creative bamboo designs. So, could you share how you achieve hedonistic sustainability in your product development? And please elaborate your approach on this.
Uh, hey, uh, since I'm from architecture background and also I'm an industrial designer, तो मतलब हमारा सबसे पहला अप्रोच तो ये होता है कि हम लोग मतलब एक अलग सा कनेक्शन है हमारा कि होम डेकोर प्रोडक्ट्स के साथ, ठीक है? तो सबसे पहले तो मैं इन प्रोडक्ट्स के साथ प्ले करते हैं हम लोग, ठीक है? एंड ऑल्सो हम अपने प्रोडक्ट्स का जो क्वालिटी है, इवन जो डिज़ाइंस है, वो पुराने किसी इंडिया मतलब किसी बैम्बू क्राफ्ट से नहीं निकालने की कोशिश करते हैं। रीज़न ये क्योंकि बैम्बू का ऑलरेडी इमेज बना हुआ है इंडिया में, उसको मतलब पुअर मैन्स टिम्बर बोला जाता है। एंड और उसी रीज़न से हम लोगों ने अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का नाम भी मियांजी रखा है। हम कोई बैम्बू रिलेटेड नाम भी रख सकते थे, पर मियांजी हमारे लिए मीनिंग बना रहा है, दैट इज बैम्बू इटसेल्फ इन स्वाहिली लैंग्वेज, ठीक है? पर लोगों के लिए एक एग्जॉटिक नेम है, ठीक है? तो वी डू नॉट वांट टू कनेक्ट आवर प्रोडक्ट्स विद द क्राफ्ट जो पहले हो रहा था रोड साइड प्रोडक्ट जैसे वाले चीज़ों को लेकर, ठीक है? And also, a lot of platform, they ask us to place our products in their platform itself, जहाँ पे sustainable material के बाकी सारे products भी रखे रहते हैं. तो we deny doing that. The reason why, because our मतलब हमारा जो comparison होगा, वो comparison यूटिलिटी के बेसिस पे, फंक्शनैलिटी के बेसिस पे, और कन्वेंशनल अनकन्वेंशनल डिजाइन के बेसिस पे. ठीक है. जो बाकी वुड में फॉर एग्जांपल हो रहा है या मेटल में हो रहा है, उस लेवल का सोफिस्टिकेशन हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स में भी आना चाहिए. हमारा प्रोडक्ट उनके साथ कंपेयर नहीं होना चाहिए जो मतलब पहले क्राफ्ट वाले चीज में करते आ रहे हैं. तो ये डिस्टिंक्शन हमें चाहिए था. दैट्स द रीजन, मतलब दैट्स हाउ वी आर अप्रोचिंग for the design of our product. ठीक है. That's how we do. And also, as I already said, कि हम टेक को बहुत ज़्यादा इन्वॉल्व करते हैं ताकि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा प्रोडक्शन कम टाइम पे निकाल पाएं और उससे ज़्यादा प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी हो अपने आर्टिसंस को लेकर. ठीक है. और यूटिलिटेरियन ऑलरेडी है. फंक्शनैलिटी हम लोग मेक श्योर करते हैं कि करंट सिनेरियो में क्या क्या फंक्शनैलिटी के लिए लोग इन प्रोडक्ट्स को यूज कर पाएं. तो दैट्स इट.
Thank you, Shashank. So we have one comment in the section that she wants to know what plays a more vital role when it comes to the production of a product. Is it material or aesthetics? If anybody would like to answer this question.
आई गेस ये दोनों होना चाहिए. मटेरियल और एस्थेटिक दोनों होना चाहिए. मास प्रोडक्शन में मैं बता रहा हूँ हम लोग कैसे हैंडल करते हैं. देखो, एक नेचुरल मटेरियल को ना स्टैंडर्डाइज करके एक अलग लेवल पे मास या बैच प्रोडक्शन करना बहुत ही मुश्किल है. तो वी हैव टू कम अप विद एन आइडिया कि हाउ कैन वी मतलब उस स्किल क्राफ्ट के स्किल को भी रखें और भी करें. ये दोनों का बैलेंस कैसे हम करें. तो हाउ वी हैव एड्रेस दिस प्रॉब्लम इज by integrating few industrial materials, for let's say metal, fabric, वुड. ये सारे इंडस्ट्रियल मटेरियल्स को हम ट्राई करते हैं इंटीग्रेट करने के लिए, फ्रेंडशिप करने के लिए बैम्बू के साथ, ताकि लोगों का एक्सेप्टेंस ज्यादा हो फर्स्ट, एंड सेकेंडली टू मेक इट मास मैन्युफैक्चरेबल. तो जैसे ही हम लोग ये मटेरियल्स का भी यूज करने लगेंगे, तो अपनी चीज़ों क्या हो जाता है, मॉड्यूलर बनना शुरू हो जाता है. प्रोडक्ट्स मॉड्यूलर बनना, मॉड्यूलैरिटी की तरफ मूव करने लग जाते हैं. तो इस वजह से एस्थेटिक और मटेरियल दोनों साथ साथ ही चलेंगे, आई गेस.
So the balance is important, whether it is material or aesthetics. The balance has to be
Yes.
maintained. So thank you so much. It was a very insightful and informative session, and we are glad we could be a part of it and could get to know a lot of in depth about the product designing. So I'll
Yeah,
pass
thank you.
on. Thank you so much. I'll pass on the stage to Simran.
It was a really wonderful panel discussion, and it was so insightful to know your, insights into what goes into making a product. May it be the aesthetics, the material, the procurement of the material. All the details that you mentioned were really, really amazing. And even your insights into adaptation of craftsmen with modern skills and technology really enlightened, I think, my knowledge and even the knowledge of all our listeners. So we also shed light, I think, on this panel discussion on the timeless approach of product design and how Indianness goes beyond any specific product or a style. So it was a really inspirational panel discussion, I would say. And I think the viewers are also quite inspired to go with the Make in India movement after this panel discussion. So thank you everyone for this, for dedicating your time for this, and hope to see you soon.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for
Thanks
having
for
me.
Thank you
having
so
us as
much.
a panel
Thank you, everyone.
members. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.